Welcome to TAP, everyone. Today we'll be talking about how to unlock the healing power and what invisible forces that shape our wellness. These words are inspired by my guest's website. So, my guest today has written the book Optimize, and it is out next year, January. So, I pre read it. Optimize, a groundbreaking 7-step plan to health and longevity through quantum biology. So, welcome to you, Dr. Catherine Clinton.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to dive into all these topics with you.
Yes, me too. And it's so amazing. I found you just from, I think, quantum biology. And then you have a new book. I mean, usually I would find people from the book first, but so I'm just really honored that you have put it all in there, right?
I try to. I think one of the exciting things about a quantum biology approach to health and healing is that so much of it is free. So in the book, I'm just like, and this, and you can do this, and you can do this, just because I want people to have the information. We're sort of in this epidemic of chronic disease, and the more that we can take our health back into our own hands, the better we'll be for it.
I believe you. I believe you. I mean, going to a regular doctor once, I mean, I believe you. It's just, it's really important to get it into our own hands, like you say again. So, okay, I would love if you could introduce yourself to the listeners and maybe also like you're starting here to share about your mission with what you call the revolutionary perspective of quantum biology, of the quantum biology model versus instead of the Newtonian model of way of looking at health, I assume.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Dr. Catherine Clinton. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor here in the States. We are like a general practitioner, but we have more training in a holistic approach,
Oh,
herbs
oh
and
like,
nutrition.
are you like a regular doctor?
I'm a naturopathic doctor, so we are licensed. We have a license to practice medicine,
I was just gonna,
but
because I just maybe offended you with what I said before.
no,
If you okay?
no, no, no,
Okay.
no,
Wait,
no, not
and
at all.
sorry.
We need all the tools in the kit, right? We
Yeah.
need all kinds of different approaches to medicine. So naturopathic doctors here in the States, we don't do surgery, we don't do anything invasive. Um, we're really more general practitioners, and we have a lot of training in nutrition and herbs, as well as all the other modalities, pharmaceuticals and physiology, anatomy, all that kind of stuff. But when I was in school, naturopathic school, I became really sick. It was that second year, that weed it out year, initiation year. And I was diagnosed with two autoimmune conditions and Lyme disease. And that's when I found this quantum biology approach to health. I was doing clinical rotations with a physician who was actually my physician as well because I wasn't doing well. And she encouraged me to look at psychoneuroimmunology, which is a big word for how our thoughts and emotions impact our health. And I was looking at mitochondrial function at the same time. And then I found this research on this new field of quantum biology, how there are quantum mechanics at play in the human body. And all of it together completely expanded what I had been learning in school. And this dominant model that exists, like you said, the Newtonian model, this chemical mechanical model. We have health because of chemical balance, or disease because of chemical imbalance, or mechanical misalignment, which we treat with pharmaceuticals or supplements or surgery. But quantum biology speaks to this language of frequency in the body. And frequency is used in so many different contexts, but in this context, we mean vibration. So the vibration of a wave of light or pressure waves from sound. the flow of electrons or protons in the body. All of these things have a unique vibration that holds energy and information. And it's kind of, it doesn't negate that chemical mechanical model, it just expands it. The analogy I like to use is like the postal system. I can mail you a letter and
Yeah.
give you the information, and you'll get that letter, and that is a great way to do it. And we've been
Yeah.
using that for years and years.
Yeah.
But if I want to contact you right now, I can send you an email. And there can be this almost instantaneous communication. Same thing in the body. Chemical mechanical model works, but it's slow. It has time constraints, it has distance constraints, right? But this quantum biology approach to healing is very fast. It can happen almost instantaneously at the speed of light, which is very fast. And it's very efficient. It can travel over long distances, like two tuning forks, where I strike one tuning fork and the other one picks up on that and starts to sing. It's this beautiful expansion of our understanding of what it means to be human, what it means to be healthy, and how we can heal.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So it's really important that we get into that, like what is the quantum biology? Because what I said about the doctor and that what I feel someone, it could be like a backward thinking, or it can be what is the opposite of prevention? It's like when it's we can't postpone it anymore. Now we have to do surgery or something.
Yeah.
That is a critique that comes from uh, all alternative health
Mhm.
sides, right? From different
Mhm.
sides. So this is specifically quantum biology. It's not just an alternative, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's
Yeah.
something special here, um, and you're talking about the flow in the body, and that it's related to this ancestral ideal of tending to that energetic flow in the body.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because the emerging science really reaffirms what ancient indigenous cultures always spoke of. I get so excited about the science because it's bringing this validation and this extension of our understanding, but it's also ridiculous to be like, we know light is important. Oh, we know there's energy flowing in the body because this is something that we've known for millennia, right? That
Yeah,
ancient Chinese medicine, Egyptian medicine, medicine from the Americas, North American medicine, Northern Europe with the Celtic traditions, and all of these ancient indigenous cultures had a view of the body that was energetic. And so it would be horrible not to mention that this isn't new. It's exciting science. It's new in our modern science world and circles, but this is not new to us as humans.
like that. And so the difference, what is the difference? Maybe this quote I've written down from you, where you say, "We have worked under a chemical model for so long in biochemistry. It has been incredibly successful, and it has also led to dead ends. To view the body as an energetic being and to recognize the role that water plays in that gives us an opportunity to expand not only our understanding, but our approach to health." So yeah, maybe let's go to water.
Let's go to
So
water, right? That's the that's where I start in the book is the first chapter is water because I feel like that's really the backdrop for all of these effects that we're talking about. Water really acts like this antenna where it's able to receive and store and transmit information, whether we're talking about light, whether we're talking about electricity, sound, electromagnetic fields, our thoughts and emotions. It all of these things happen on this backdrop of water in the body. And water in the body has a potential to take on a different organization. So there's many different names for this water. Interfacial water, easy exclusion zone water, liquid crystalline water. What happens when water comes up to a hydrophilic or water loving surface is it takes on a different structure, a different organization. It becomes more gel like, more viscous. And this water is able to trap this vibrational information. It can store it and it can transmit it. So there's many different things happening with water. That different organization of water that forms against our cells, our mitochondria, our DNA, our tissue, our organs, it takes on a different structure and it's negatively charged. It has a negative electrical charge. And our cells, it's important to note that our cells run on a negative electrical charge. It's vital for their longevity and their function. If they start to lose that negative electrical charge, they don't function as well. And I give many examples of that in the book because it's such a new understanding of the body and how the body runs on electricity. And water seems to play a part in that as this water builds. And this is the work of Gerald Pollack, Professor Gerald Pollack and his team out of the University of Washington. But many researchers across the globe have replicated this. And as this different structure of water, this negatively charged liquid crystal water forms against a cell, it acts as a template. So as one layer forms, then another layer forms, then another layer forms. As it builds, it pushes out a hydrogen or a positively charged proton. And what you get is this incredible separation of charge, just like you would see in a 9-volt battery. That separation of charge between the negatively charged water and the positively charged water that forms right outside of this negative water forms this potential energy that, you know, Professor Pollack in the laboratory put an electrode in the negatively charged water and one in the positively charged water, and it was enough to light an LED light bulb in the laboratory. Certainly enough to give power, donate power for biological action. So we have this negative charge that the water is imparting. We have this water battery that it's creating. And it also is this repository of energy. So there are free electrons. When you look at an atom, back to chemistry that we did in primary school, the atom has that proton and sometimes a neutron in the center, and then the electrons on the outside, this cloud of electrons. Those seem to be attracted to that positive center, to that proton and the neutron. But there are some electrons that can disassociate, they can travel. And there's a way to look at the body where pain, inflammation, symptoms that we're experiencing, disease states are a deficiency in electrical charge, or another way to say that is a deficiency in electrons. So to have this water battery, this water network that starts at our external layers of our skin and goes all the way into our most internal layers, that is acting as a water battery, but also a reservoir of electrons that can be shuttled throughout the body and potentially quench these areas that are deficient in energy. It's absolutely incredible to think of.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not gonna pretend that I understand all of that. I mean that chemistry lesson I was not really present, I think, but but I'm trying, and also in I study in mysteries and how the universe began, and there's constantly electrons and neutrons, and I have to keep up with it somehow. I have to, but what I am good at, better at, is feeling it in my body, right? So that so just when you talk about water is healing, and we consist so much of water, and I wanted to ask you about um, my own new experience with cold plunge water. Is
I mean, that experience of cold water and the going between the cold and the hot, that can build that water, that specialized water against our cells, and also our mitochondria. They actually produce this water. And cold plunge is so incredible for our mitochondria. What's your experience
I
with the
mean,
cold plunge?
my experience is I just want to stay in the water. I just want to stay in the water. Actually, I only go into the sauna for, I mean, not to to die, not that it's all blue and, but I really love just being in that water, and
Yeah.
so many people are experiencing this these days. It's a, phenomena,
Mhm.
and so yeah, and there's, it's just when we start to think about it, how much water actually means, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're water beings,
Yeah.
right? We're by weight, it can vary from 60 to 70% by weight, we're water. But molecularly, because the water molecule is so small, if you were to line up all the molecules that make up the human body, almost 98% are water molecules.
Wow.
So it's so important that we understand what water is doing in the body and how the external world and how our internal world influences water.
How our internal world influences the water that we consist of. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, absolutely.
right? And because your book, and it's amazing. I think I forgot to praise it actually, but it's really good. And I read it while I was sick, so it was like, yes, savior. It was really good actually. I mean, just going through all of these, yeah, the things that we consist of, and making that into my own little personal meditation, zooming in on every little part of me. It was really profound. So, and your book is well written and it's well systematized. Yeah.
Mm,
Um what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, because your book is also talking, it also has a lot of advice, right? And one of the things, I want to talk mostly about the philosophy, but I have a little question for one of the advices is that, put something in your water, electro
mm.
electrolytes. What is
Oh,
it
yeah.
called?
Yeah,
Do you know?
electrolytes, minerals.
Electrolytes. Okay,
Yeah.
but then I've been searching for those. It's like they've got flavors in them. Maybe they got sugar in them. So I'm like, what is that, and why is that? Can you just comment on that?
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. The reason I talk about the importance of minerals or electrolytes in water is because it helps draw that water into the body. It helps hydrate the body. And I don't, why do a vast majority of the electrolytes have flavoring, have sugar, have dye? I don't know. Is it because that's what we're used to as a
Ah,
society, right? We want something that is sweet and brightly colored. I I'm not sure, but I am not a fan of those electrolytes, right? I like the electrolytes. I don't like the flavoring and the coloring and all the artificial additives, right? But electrolytes, just that, those can be incredibly powerful for bringing water into the body. I think a lot of people have become aware of how important it is to hydrate and drink water. But sometimes I'll see this with my patients where they're drinking water and they are eliminating that water just as much. It's not being absorbed. And that's where electrolytes come in, as they help with that absorption. They help it get into the body. They help it get into the extracellular matrix around the cell. They help it get into the cell. And that's what we really want when we're talking about hydration. It's not about how much water we drink, it's about how much water we can absorb, how much water gets into us.
and like quality water, tap water is not good enough.
Well, I think that tap water usually has a lot of pollutants in it, um, from pesticides, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, so many different things. We
Mm,
even now know there's those nano microplastics in there, right?
mm,
Forever chemicals, so many different things in our water. So a filter can be a great thing. But even if we don't have a filter, even if that's what we have access to is tap water,
mm,
there's a way for us to approach that tap water. And there's been incredible research out there from these this field of water crystallography. So these scientists take water and they freeze it and look at the organizational patterns of the water crystals. And they found time and time again that us approaching water with a sense of gratitude or a sense of awe has a profound effect on the organization of that water. And so, even if, I hate to be elitist about it and, well, you need this kind of filter and you need to do this and you need electrolytes, and
mm,
um, everybody has the right to access water. And I believe everybody should have the right to clean water. But
mm,
until that's a reality, some of us only have access to tap water. So allowing ourselves to enter into a relationship with that water where we feel gratitude, where we feel some sense of awe and curiosity for the water, it's going to be much better than, oh, this water is so polluted, but it's all I have, right? That reaffirming affirmation, that
mm.
negative affirmation for the body, we know that that doesn't hold um, a lot of benefits for us.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. So that's what you were mentioning earlier, our inner environment as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I hear you. In a way, there's so many good things we can do, but on the other hand, mm, if we can't do it, then don't, spiral around in that negativity around it. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I had somebody ask me several months ago, I was teaching a class, and one of the people in the class said, well, I was talking about all these things I talk about in the book, water and grounding and different practices. And they said, well, I work with inmates. I work with people that can't go outside when
Mm,
they want to. They can't do anything with their water. Like, what do we say to them? And it was profound because it made me think, you know, I th- we're so caught up as a society about the latest thing, the latest gadget, the latest diet trend, the latest product out there, when really the conductor of our thoughts, of the coherence in the body that allows everything to work together as one, that's our consciousness. That's our conductor. That's
mm,
the guide in our body that aligns everything. And we all have access to that.
yeah.
Even if we don't have access to all these other things,
Mm,
we can take control and take notice of this internal conductor of the symphony, right? If all of
mm,
our cells and organs and tissue are different instruments in this orchestra, our conscious thought is the conductor of that and has such a powerful influence on what song our body is singing.
mm, beautiful. Okay, so I'm looking at all of my questions, all I want to ask you about. But that's good. We have that as a returning point that, come back to the consciousness. But that being said, you've explored many things in your book. So you mentioned mitochondria earlier. And so that is a powerful drive and a sophisticated communication web in the body, you say. Can, can you take us from that into light?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great pairing.
Okay,
So,
good.
our mitochondria are those little organelles inside of our cells. I always remember getting like a coloring page in biology class, and they're little jelly bean shaped organelles inside of our cells, and they create ATP. They create our energy source in the body. But they're much more than that. They are sort of this hub of communication. They're receiving these external inputs from light, sound, the food we eat, the thoughts we think. They are sensitive to that as well. And they are sending out their own signals, and they have profound influences on our hormones, on our immune system, inflammatory state, and also they are communicating with light. So when it comes to mitochondria and light, there's sort of two things we're looking at. We're looking at how they react to the external light in our environment. And at the same time, they are communicating with light. Our mitochondria create what is known as biophotons, and biophotons are light that is emitted from the mitochondria. And it's not random. Research shows that it's coherent. It acts like a communication network in the body. In fact, I think just this year, there's an incredible research study showing that our mitochondria are communicating between themselves with biophoton emission, with this light emission. So it's a way of communicating. It holds information. And when you look at what's happening with the external light environment, you see that our mitochondria are sensitive to all types of light. They seem particularly sensitive to red and infrared light. That helps them create more ATP. It helps them function at a higher efficiency. And we know from the research that any dip in ATP production, that energy currency, that's been associated with every modern disease out there.
Oh
It's
my God.
so foundational to our health. And what we see in our modern lighting, our LED lighting that's so common now. In the States, we just went through a manufacturing ban on incandescent lights. So everything is LED lighting. And LED lighting has a very narrow band of blue light. It has no red light, it has no infrared light. And for decades and decades, our lighting had red light, it had infrared light in it. And as that started to change, we saw an uptick in these modern diseases. And what we see from the research, researchers like Glenn Jeffrey out of the UK, and many of his colleagues are showing that red and infrared light really act as this driver, this input that help the mitochondria create energy. And our modern lighting, our LED lighting, is completely void in that. And so I talk a lot about this because it's such a simple fix. I mean, anytime we go outside, right now we've just entered into fall, winter time here where I'm at in Oregon, in the States. And sometimes we don't see the sun for days and days. It's just behind a gray, uh, mass of clouds, right? And those days, even those days, anytime you go outside, you're completely enveloped in this infrared energy. And it has such a powerful influence on our mitochondria that they are able to sense this and they're able to share this throughout the body. It's just incredible that it really is expanding our understanding past that chemical model and it's only food that impacts the mitochondria. No, we see light has an incredible influence.
So that solution is go outside.
Yeah, go outside. Use incandescent bulbs when you can. Use some type of lighting that has red light or infrared light. I have a salt lamp behind me that we switch to almost exclusively as the sun goes down so that we get that red light, we get that infrared light.
Mm. And this is a where I'm like looking over to my notes here, where we have an extensive and sophisticated light network. Um, they also talk about internal light.
Mhm.
Is that the same or is that different? I forgot.
That's the biophotons.
Okay.
That's the biophotons. And we have a internal light communication network, but we also have all these proteins that are sensitive to light in places where you wouldn't expect light to be. And it makes so much sense when you start to put it together with biophoton emission from our cells, from our microbiome, from so many different places. It just really gives us a new understanding. And when we're talking about health, we want all the tools. We want to be able to utilize everything we can to stay healthy, to get healthy. And so understanding the body in new layers is so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like you started out with saying, so that we can take our health into our own hands, as
Yeah.
much as we can. And that thing about the light being so quick and quantum biology being different than just other alternative health models, it seems something is faster here and is more, I don't know. I don't know. Let's actually go
Yeah.
to this question. Psychoneuroimmunology,
It's a big
right?
one. Yeah,
Psychoneuroimmunology. Yes.
you got it.
Yes. So, what are the relationships that constitutes that the field of psychoneuroimmunology? Is that question, and I think it's also about thoughts. That's the chapter about thoughts that I'm asking this for.
Yeah, that psychoneuroimmunology is a tongue twister. It's just a really big word for how our thoughts and emotions impact our biology. And they have a profound effect. And this is an emerging field, but it's been around for decades. And we understand it on a chemical level. We understand that certain thoughts have a predictable influence on the secretion of different cytokines, little messengers in the immune system, on our inflammation, on our immune function. They have a predictable influence in that way. We're starting to also understand that they affect our energetic body as well. So our thoughts and emotions impact our mitochondrial function and how much energy our mitochondria is making. So
Mhm.
it's not just chemical again, it extends into this idea of energy in the body, and our thoughts and emotions have a predictable and repeatable influence on the inflammatory state of the body, how well the immune system is working, how much energy we have, our hormonal balance, our metabolism. It's really foundational, yet it's not often talked about in many clinical settings, right? We really are relying mostly on this chemical model where the idea that our thoughts and emotions have a huge role in the balance and function of the body is really not given the role that it deserves because it's so profound. And again, it's something that we all have access to. It's not costing us a cent. We can do it wherever we are
Yeah.
because that's that internal conductor of the body's song.
The body song. So I guess a new thing is, like you said, it's the science behind it. That is
Yeah.
a new thing that you say it's predictable.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
absolutely.
I wonder how long time it's gonna take. I mean, because I feel like at the regular doctors, it's just the same old stuff that you hear,
Yeah.
and it's and but this there must come some changes if science is catching up to this.
Yeah, yeah. And I am hopeful, to be honest. We're starting to see light therapies be more embraced in clinical settings. We're starting to see sound being used to treat. There's something out there called high intensity focused ultrasound, and that's being used to treat in select hospitals around the world. It's being used to treat really hard to treat cancers, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer. So we're starting to see this trickle in. And that's really why I wrote the book. That's why I do what I do, because I'm not against that chemical mechanical model at all. If I need an emergency room, I am so glad that they are there, right? It's a miracle that we
Yeah.
have modern medicine. But to add this expanded understanding wouldn't take much. We're
Yeah.
not talking about take a left turn. We're
Mm.
talking about just widen the road a little bit, so that we can have an expanded toolkit for people to heal and be
And
healthy.
I think my frustration when it comes out like that is because of the times that I have not gotten help,
Yeah.
right? It's just for me, it's IBS. That's a way to
Yeah.
talk about it. Um, and and a lot of people are dealing with something like that, like stressful symptoms somehow, and just the
Yes.
regular things of what to eat and not to eat. It's not doing the trick.
Right, exactly, because we're much more than that, right? And especially with something like IBS or stress-related symptoms and conditions, to not address the locus of stress, to not address um, the body in a bigger sense is doing us a disfavor.
Mm.
And I think that at least here in the States, our medical model really pushes doctors to have quick visits. They don't have the time to do that because of insurance models and all the other pressures that they're under. But I think they are feeling this too. The amount of doctors in the States who are feeling burnout
Mm.
because they are just seeing people hit those dead ends
Right.
without any further options for them. That's not a good feeling. Doctors get into this field because they want to help people.
Mm.
And to have so many people coming up against these roadblocks is frustrating and it does create that burnout. So I think that somehow, if we could add this in, uh, where doctors understand this and have some capacity to share it with their patients, I think we'll start to see some incredible breakthroughs.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So you began sharing a little bit about your story. So did this help you? I mean, obviously, but how? So let me ask you, how did it help you?
Yeah, well, I started diving into the research and I started supporting my body, the light in my environment, my circadian rhythm, the water I was drinking, all the different things that I talk about in the book. But to be honest with you, it started as a checklist, like a chore, like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do that. But then it turned into these relationships. So
Hmm.
now when I see the sunrise in the morning, I feel a sense of belonging. I feel a relationship
Mm.
with that rising and setting of the sun, with the ground beneath my feet, with the natural trees and environment that I am used to, that's outside of my house. And I think that's where a lot of the healing comes into play is when people take this checklist and are like, okay, I'll do this stuff. But then it turns into a relationship, it turns into a sense of safety, a sense of belonging. And I think that's really when things start to happen, when we see the most results and those deeper levels of healing or returning into ourselves because we're connecting with these relationships that are unconditional. They're
Mm.
not judging us, right? That sun doesn't judge what we did yesterday. It's going to rise in the morning. That ground is going to hold us. That tree is going to be there no matter what. And to feel that sense of belonging and safety in the body is so incredibly grounding and balancing in all levels of our body and biology.
Yes, it's unlocking the healing. Yeah, I feel like when you say belonging, I think that word is doing it for me. Like I'm part of nature. That's how I feel when I'm in that water.
Yeah.
It's I'm part of nature,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
such a release. But did that heal you from your diseases there?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
no, I mean, if I went to see a gastroenterologist, they would say I'm in remission.
okay.
But you know, they say these things can't be cured. You're with them for life. But
Oh,
yes, I don't have any of those symptoms or markers. So that's wonderful. And that's
yeah.
what I work with my patients to do. And just like you said with the water and your
Mm,
experience of this relationship, I think that's so powerful. Is like we can talk about all the science of what cold immersion does and how it impacts the mitochondria and inflammation and all these different things. But that sense of belonging, that when you look at it, that's what cells need to heal, is that
mm,
sense of belonging. And that's what you have entered into with this relationship with water. It's so powerful.
yeah. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I like the way that you said it. That in the beginning it can sometimes be stressful because you have to do the checklist, but
Yeah,
it is a lot easier when you enjoy the stuff actually.
yeah.
Okay, so Catherine, I just wanted to have a quick look at your birth chart. Do you know your birth chart?
I know it a little bit.
Do you know
Yes.
a little bit? What do you know
I
about
I know my sun and my moon and my rising.
it? Yeah.
And then um, it gets a bit murky when it comes to like house placements and all the details.
Yeah. I mean, you are a good communicator, right? And you're a teacher and a writer and a speaker and all of it. So of course that's for a Gemini, which you are, but also your Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, your sun, it is right on the ascendant. So I wondered about that, but that is just like an emphasis on that speaking, um, but it's in Taurus. So
Oh,
yeah, so it means it's not. I mean, I think you can speak for a long time, but you also have to take care of yourself because you might get tired. And it's because it's so embodied that Mercury. You need to have your body. it's it's there's several things I want to say. It's good for taking things step by step. You've written a book also step by step. Um, and down to earth and practical. So it's good for many earth related things. But just in terms of speaking a lot, rather than Gemini who can just go for days and talk, that your Mercury there is different because it's in Taurus and it needs rest in a different way. And yet it's right on that ascendant there. So that means yeah, you probably do a lot of it, right?
feel that. I feel driven to speak and teach, but also if I would, there people say, are you an introvert or an extrovert? I feel very introverted, which is so weird to say as somebody that speaks a lot and travels and goes on stages and I love that. But then it's like I just have to cocoon back in. Um, so I definitely feel that. I know people, many of my colleagues, they can just go and go and they speak at a conference and then let's go out to dinner and then I'll see you in the morning. And I'm like, oh, I am. I have to crawl back into a hole. I'll see you in a little bit. So um,
Yeah.
I definitely feel that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I wonder how that. Oh, hmm. What about the body? So maybe that is the body needing the rest. Is there any way that you feel you communicate also through your body in some way? Or is there some
Hmm.
relationship here between your communication and your sense of embodiment? I'm just curious, really.
That's interesting. I would have to think about that. I think that when I am communicating, it's just coming through, it's just me. Um, but but yeah, that's fascinating. I would have to think about that because I don't think of myself as communicating through my body. It feels very like here I am talking and I move my body or whatnot, but um I don't know. The first thing to come to mind is just thinking that it is my body. It's not a caricature or a mask.
Mm.
It's just me, but I don't know. I'd have to.
Yeah, I guess you're also talking a lot about the body, you know, could be
Mhm.
that. Could be that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the communication is about the body. Yeah, it's just interesting to talk to you a little bit about what that symbolism can mean. And then you said something around it also comes through you, or you said something about that. That I definitely see you're very divine inspired. That's actually the two words that I wrote for you preparing. That's that's all I wrote is divine inspiration because you have a big 12th house. Yeah.
Mm. What does that mean?
Being divine
What's
inspired? Well, I
or the
mean,
12th house?
the 12th house. Well, that's a very mystical house. And it's also what you give away to the public, but just in your own consciousness, it can feel like something is flowing through you that you're not sure
Mm.
where it comes from. Of course, it's not all there is to it because you also like you've done a lot of research and you know where stuff comes from. But there's something there about that you can access um, at a different level, at a higher frequency, to use the word frequency.
I mean, that's what I do when I speak. People
Yeah.
say, a lot of when you go on bigger stages, they want to see your speech. And I
Mm.
say, well, I could give you some slides to put up, but I don't have a speech. Like we're just gonna feel it out, what
Um,
the
but,
audience is needing, what we're up to. And sometimes they're like, that is not how you do it. It's like, well, that's how I do it. Yeah.
and it works, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Mm.
beautiful and it's
Yeah.
fun. And if I did it the other way, it would be sort of out of body. That's what I mean about the caricature, the mask. It would be just, that's just not how I do it.
No, no, good. I like that. Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to ask these more personal questions in your birth chart. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
thank you.
beautiful. So, Catherine, here in the end, please let us have some of that communication. Let's have some divine communication. What do you feel like saying? What do you feel like saying so that the listeners get this feeling of your book and of your work?
I think that really what has been speaking to me lately is that so many of us are craving this return. This is what the book is all about. It's us returning to ourselves, us returning to the world around us, um, this remembering, this great remembering of what it means to be human, what it means to be here right now. And as hard as it is right now in today's modern life with all of the world events and the news, I think many of us are starting to return and to remember. And I think that's medicine not only to ourselves, but to our families, to our communities, to the people who are living across the globe from me, to the earth that I'm standing on. It's all interconnected. We don't end at the barriers of our skin. We're all interconnected. So um, just small steps of return are all that's needed. It doesn't have to be these huge grandiose efforts. It's just a small step back, a small remembering can be so powerful.
Mm, I'm really glad you also said that quote about not ending at the barrier at our skin. our skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so much more than that. And the return, that's really a 12th house saying the return
Mm,
to, yeah, well, the original, the primordial, our essence. Is that what
mhm.
you mean when you say return?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think modern life has done an incredible job, just absolutely phenomenal job of distracting us from our true self, from our
Yeah.
center,
Mm,
from I mean the list is long, from ourselves, our family, our communities, from the natural world and all the relationships that it holds. And so taking just one small step back towards that can be so powerful.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's a good way to look at, the disease, the popular diseases, if you will, the very common stress symptoms, and you call it what you will, but that we have in today, and to look at that and say, okay, what went wrong? Like look at it as signs, symptoms of yeah, this modern time where
Yeah.
some things are, yeah, like just less nature and less slowness and less rest. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for inspiring us with this and educating us. And like, there's some serious stuff in there, serious research, and also inspiration. And yeah,
Oh, thank you so much for having me on today. It was a pleasure.
I, I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to make conversation, but you have the words.
Oh, no, I completely understand what you're saying, and I've enjoyed
Oh,
all that you've said, and I appreciate so much you peeking into my chart and seeing what's in the celestial blueprint there.
absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Catherine Clinton.
Thank you so much.